we go.
All right. Welcome back to Shit.
Lowering the bar.
And welcome back to Lower the Bar podcast, a political podcast where we basically talk about all the great ideas we have and no one's listening to us. Today we have a guest here, our boy Pete, and he's going to give us some of his perspective on different things and topics that our friend Jack here has brought along. And we're going to go from there. So I'm going to let Jack open up the floor and talk about some things.
So there's a lot going on in the world right now. Obviously, we just went through the impeachment trial, or lack thereof. Um, we watched certain people get really pissy. We watched a bunch of people virtue signal, and then we got to watch Republicans that were the impeachment managers of the what's the word I'm looking for? Fellatio trial. Um, choose to ignore certain things. So, Pete, I'm going to ask you this. I watch a lot of things when it comes to Mitch McConnell. I think Mitch McConnell is one of the most egregiously terrible people in a modern American politics, and probably, it, I would say, indefinitely in like the last 50 years in American politics. I would
Oh,
say Mitch
absolutely.
McConnell is a terrible human being with absolutely no soul. I don't know how to really describe him. So he
He's
votes to not impeach him.
basically our prime minister, apparently.
I mean, he's been
Yeah.
operating as such.
Yeah.
And I think if he gets Manchin on his side, like on any issue, he basically doesn't have the
Yeah.
mandate, but he can throw a wrench into just about any gear.
Pretty much.
So let me ask you this: you've been following Mitch McConnell for longer than I have because you're a little bit older than I have. I am, excuse me. So Mitch McConnell then, he votes no. We're gonna acquit him, and then he goes, but I'm gonna say my piece. Why do you think he said that? Why do you think he said what he said?
Probably for the Republican donors that turned on Trump at the end. Probably just for a little bit of show. It's like, oh, here's the. It's kind of like the when. Do you remember like Democrats complaining mostly about decorum over
Mm-hmm.
the past 4 years? It was just like, well, in principle, I'm not going to do anything, but I'm going to say some bullshit about like restoring democracy or whatever. I don't know. It's like surface decorum nonsense. It's like Lincoln Project shit. It's like
Those guys finally, Kyle. Pete has been on the fucking Lincoln Project for a long time and has been saying shit about those grifter mother effers for a long time.
it didn't require close following. I just assumed it was a scam from the beginning. It's like Iraq war criminals for Trump or whatever. Or no, I'm sorry, Iraq war criminals for Biden. It's like, nah, yeah. Like, come on.
I mean, have you been
Or like
following
it's
the
like half
Kellyanne
the Bush
Conference?
administration, like backing like a Democrat that voted for everything that they wanted back in the 2000s anyway. It's like, and the grooming too. That's a whole other thing. I feel like that's getting ignored. One of
What are
their
you referring to
founders,
here?
like literally talking to like underage males
I'm
online.
trying to remember which
Story
one that
too.
is. Is that Schiff? No, not Schiff. Schmidt.
Yeah.
Was that Steve Schmidt?
I can't believe this story went so under the radar that I brought it up and I can't even remember the guy's name.
Is if it's Steve Schmidt, I wouldn't be shocked. But like, as long as like Rick Wilson's first book I read, but I was just like over it. So if you don't know who Rick Wilson is,
Yeah.
basically, if you're not familiar with who the Lincoln Project is, for the listeners, the Lincoln Project is and I use this term very loosely, what's the word? Think tank.
Yes.
Um,
And super
built,
PAC basically, like
yeah, it's a super
fundraiser.
PAC of people that want the
And
Republican
it's
Party.
John Weaver, not Schiff, by the way.
There it is.
Yeah.
Um, their basic goal is to get Trump out of office. They want the Republican Party that you know, helped to build. They want the Republican Party. They that basically went into Iraq and did all this other stuff, and
Like the
grifted him.
neoconservative project.
It's a
Yeah.
neocon
Yeah.
project. Best way to put it is it's filled with people that are former, advisors to Bush. It's filled with people that are former Republican strategists. It also contains egregious human being George Conway,
Hmm.
who, for lack of a better term, should be in a lot more trouble for his recent actions than anyone. His wife, Kyle, are you following the Kellyanne Conway's daughter story?
Is that like the one where? Shit. Hold on. Let me think about it. I don't know, something about horse-faced people at a racetrack. I can't remember what it is.
It's worse than that.
No, it's worse than that.
So her daughter, I don't know 100% of the story. Pete probably knows better than I do because he's super on Twitter. But the gist that I got was, first of all, these two people, George Conway and Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne Conway was basically the attack dog of Donald Trump. She would go on any show that came about that needed a Trump defender.
Yeah,
That was
she was like
literally her
she
job.
was like the above the press secretary. I feel it's like
I completely agree. Well, when your press secretary is 5 different people that have the collective IQ of, a pit bull, um, that's going to end up happening. But she was the one that coined the term alternative facts.
Mhm.
She was the one that coined a lot of different things. And her daughter is on TikTok. I follow her daughter on TikTok. She's 16. I follow her specifically because I want to know what the hell is going on with
She-
Kellyanne.
her TikTok account has been like reporting like the abuse she's been
Yeah.
from her mother, like for like over a year now.
Oh, dude,
But-
Kyle, it's bad. It's real bad. So most recently, there was some kind of tweet or something that was put out where her nudes were on, like Kellyanne's 16-year-old daughter's nudes were posted on the internet. I don't know what degree to which they were posted, because as soon as I saw that, I just was like,
It was a
I'm going to
fleet-
click the article.
It was
not
a fleet apparently, like this, like the stories that yeah, the fucking Twitter update for fleets. That it's like it was in response to she put out on TikTok just a recording of the things her mother says to her, and then in response, her mother puts up a topless photo of her daughter on Fleet, which automatically deletes just like Instagram stories. But enough people saw it because she has like, I don't know, like 60 million, whatever the fuck followers, that like everybody saw it. And they're like, you just put a topless revenge porn post
of a minor.
your daughter. Like,
What was
really?
what was her explanation to this? Did she respond?
She didn't respond at all. Nothing.
No legal action has been taken.
Nope. And do you see American Idol tonight has both the daughter and the mother apparently appearing on an episode soon.
Kellyanne Conway and her daughter?
Yeah.
And her daughter really fucked it up. And like apparently what I've been following is like she did very poorly in the thing 'cause she was nervous or whatever. Like that, I get it. That happens because also she's 16, so I'm not going to hold her to a very high standard. But like with that kid, apparently one of the judges asked her, "Are you okay?" She's like, "No," but like, yeah. And then like there was a lot to unpack just regarding anything that was said. So if you don't follow that TikTok of that kid,
Yeah, I don't. I just hear about it. I
A
hear
lot.
the backlash.
it's
I
a
couldn't.
lot.
That's so she's. What is her mother abusing her about? Like, what is she going on rampage? Is like a
So-
drunk tirades or like?
It's not even Trump. Like you could tell that
A
you know
lot
how
of-
like there's
yeah.
Go ahead.
A lot of it's Trump though. Like a lot of it, like she has, a lot of
It's
it's
a mix.
talking about Trump and the COVID thing especially. She's literally just like, you've been ignoring COVID. You've been going on the news like pushing Trump's message about how it's not
she's
real,
going
and then you
against her daughter.
infected your entire family with COVID.
Okay. So she's going
Well, yeah.
against her mother. She's not a.
Yeah,
Gotcha,
she's
okay.
against her mom. She's
Yeah.
she's adamantly and vehemently against her mother. When the January 6th events took place, like she was like, "How does it feel to see your army that you built literally try and attempt to overthrow the government?" And there's a lot to unpack with it, but the bottom line is like George Conway was also abusing her, and he bailed and said, "I'm not coming back." So they both abuse this. They imagine like she's a Trumpist and he's a Lincoln Project grifter, and they raised a daughter, and like that situation is just a breeding ground for mental problems and abuse. And that's what came out of it. That's literally exactly what happened. That child needs to be taken away from that mother.
Yeah, I totally support that. And young lady, if you want to make it faster, bring home a black guy.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
I'm not wrong. Kellyanne Conway, George Conway. Go ahead, just say
And
it.
wasn't George involved with Trump in the beginning too? Wasn't also
He was until a certain point, and then it was like
he was like one of those guys that fell off. It was like any of those admin members that just like
he's like, oh, this is like he thought it was good that the GOP was getting the attention. Thought it was good that they were getting the attention, but then he was like, oh, this is uncontrollable. We can't deal with this. We can't bring this under wraps. We can't reel him in or rein him in at all. And I think that's what happened a lot with the Trump administration to begin with. And they, guys like George Conway want people like Chuck Grassley, who has, he's like
The best
145 years old. Now, if you don't follow Chuck Grassley on Twitter, Kyle,
No, I don't.
this man, he was born during the Depression and is
Jesus
still
Christ.
tweeting.
Yeah.
Like literally still tweeting. And is still a senator, and he's the president pro tempore of the Senate.
He's like fifth down from like the president, basically.
How old is this man?
88 years old.
He's just a lifer.
He was born in 1933. He's been in the Senate since 1980.
Didn't World War II end in 45?
Yes. That's what I'm getting at.
That's what I'm getting at.
Homie was like, he was going through his changes when World War II ended. Like, that's a problem.
Jesus Christ.
And he's on Twitter. He's on Twitter.
And Jesus Christ, he's a.
And I bet his parents were probably on the fence regarding like who was the good guy in World War II. You know, it's like who to side with. You know, it's like, hey, listen, I know we're getting involved. Just saying, we got to hear both sides.
That's another. So, how
His
much have you been
amazing
about that?
And his senile tweets have like fell off recently until tonight. I feel like
it was real good.
Like right back to his senile shit, like talking about like roadkill he finds on the highway, or like
it's really funny, Kyle. Like it's
they
really
let him
funny.
Control his own Twitter
Kyle,
account.
it's really good. I cannot stress enough to follow Chuck Grassley on Twitter, because if you want to just be like, oh, I'm a lot smarter than at least one person in the Senate, like yes, between like. Oh God, between like Congress, there's so many people in Congress that are just pieces of trash. But like Taylor Greene, you got Boebert, you got Jim Jordan, I hate Rand Paul. Like I hate that guy.
Oh God, is there anybody I want to punch in the head?
He's a big man until somebody fucking threatens him. That's my problem with him.
They all are.
I love how nobody has any respect for him amongst his colleagues, like straight across the aisle. Like even during Republican debates, like the things that like not just Trump, but the other guys said to him during those debates are just like,
I was watching those debates.
Fuck off, shut up.
I was watching those debates and I was like, damn, aren't these guys at least friends or something? Like, why is he talking to him like that?
There's such, like both parties are like the GOP at this point is such a big tent that, and don't get me wrong, the Democrats are a big tent, but like it goes from like centrist, moderate, like Joe Manchin to like who's like generally like okay,
like Turner Diary shit.
Yeah, I'll say some stupid shit, but occasionally I'll vote on party lines. To like, we want to give people free healthcare in college, and we see that as a fundamentally good thing. Whereas on the right, it goes from a wide spectrum of I'm a centrist, like I don't even know what to describe as a centrist on the right. I'm like names that are popping into my brain are like Jeb Bush would be a centrist Republican. and he's not even in there, but like I can't think of like a centrist
I
Republican
feel
right
like Sassy was one they were like
Oh,
first
anybody that
was
voted again,
on. Yeah,
for I guess Murkowski, some of them.
but there in the end it's just right wing. It's like
And it goes from there all the way to people that, like Madison, whatever the hell his name is, the guy that, is in a wheelchair or whatever the hell his name is.
Oh, that fucking neo-Nazi.
oh my god.
Oh god, that guy's such a fucking people don't
I'm
see
not
it.
going to make an ableist joke, but I really want to right now.
He announced his entire staff, like who he hired, like basically to all of Congress. It was all comms.
Yeah.
It was basically just like, I'm gonna post. That's what I'm gonna do. Just gonna be posting online.
They're all
really,
doing that now, though.
Not really pushing policy,
But AOC
I also
kind of
can't
like
get
that
on
too.
camera as much as like Boebert and the other one, Taylor Green.
Taylor Green's fucking batshit crazy too.
The affair story is amazing, by the way, with her. That's
Elaborate.
Apparently, it's been exposed that she had two affairs for like many years while married. One of them was like a polyamorous like sex guru, and then the other one was her trainer.
But it's okay because she wants to get rid of socialism.
Which is probably the only two cool things about her, to be honest.
Yeah. So Kyle has been saying some wild shit about socialism, and I want to hear what Pete's thoughts are. Kyle has some thoughts on cancel culture. Kyle has some thoughts on lots of things. And typically me and Kyle align, but the genesis of this podcast was, generally speaking, that me and Kyle have very fundamentally different ideas on the implementation of socialism in the United States. So I'm going to let Kyle explain that.
Of how I'd go about doing it?
Yeah.
Oh, just eliminate everything on the right. Just whether it's through the small children you can re-educate, but everyone else you could just completely genocide. I have no, I want nothing from them. I don't want to waste tax dollars on teaching them anything. Line them up, put them to execution style, however they want it. They can have a final cigarette, blindfold them, shoot party, whatever you want to do. Just there's nothing that Mitch McConnell, between the ages of Wheelchair Boy and Mitch McConnell, just eliminate them all. There's nothing I want from them, nothing I want to do with them. Jack?
I mean, socialist states and communist states, anyone that's ever existed has not done it through like electoralism. They've literally done it through a revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then it gets counter-revolutionized because, the United States is like, hey, we see you don't want to trade us bananas. Perhaps you would like this military coup.
We're still doing that.
We're still doing
Oh, absolutely.
They're going to try again with Venezuela under Biden, and I can't wait for them to lose again.
Yeah,
all we do.
There was apparently a piece that came out today about Nicaragua. It's like, you're bringing Nicaragua back into this again. It's like you're really throwing back. It's like
they don't know how to leave people alone. They don't want to.
And we wonder, like, consistently over the course of like history, it's like, how are we not the good guy? How are we seen as anything but good? And like when I teach like communism or when I teach the Cold War, one of the first things I say is like, guys, fundamentally, to assume that the United States is the good guy all the time is a terrible standpoint to hold, is a bad way to teach history. And in general, it's not true. We're not always the good guy. We did some good stuff. Yeah.
What war were we the good guy in?
I mean, in general, the last time we were the good guy in a war, I would go with World War II. And that's
we allied with the Soviet Union.
Yeah, well, every time we've allied with communists, we've kicked ass. World War II fundamentally is based on the fact that like our production and their manpower won the war. There you go. That's it.
Yeah, and then at the end of that war, both the U.S. and the future NATO allies went to work, like basically keeping like right-wing ideologies alive, like basically like hiring all the Nazis.
Right.
Like Churchill bombed literally the fucking Greek resistance against Hitler. It's like they kept their colonies alive, even though it was a dying fucking empire. Churchill went on to like gas, fucking India. It's like, come on. And
Yeah.
then we brought all those Nazi scientists over.
What do
One
you
of them
mean? Are you
becomes
talking about the
Pope,
guys that got us to the moon, bro?
or
The founders of NASA. It's like,
is that a rumor that one of them was the Pope or something like that, or in training, or like was part of the Catholic Church? I forget. But there was rumors that one of the guys in the Catholic Church, like high-ranking member, was like
The Pope? Are you referring to Pope? What the hell is that guy's name? Pope Benedict?
Yeah.
He was a Nazi youth.
Yeah.
he was a Nazi youth who went AWOL apparently from Nazi youth, but
Well, I mean, the
he also
Catholic Church.
resigned as Pope, which is unusual. Like, there's never been one that quit.
The Catholic Church in general has a lot of questionable dealings and questionable things that obviously they've done.
Questionable. They like children.
No, I'm not even talking about the children thing. I'm talking about like ignoring the Holocaust. I'm talking about like various other elements. The fact that it's 2021 and they're still not like allowing women to do shit with any kind of frequency or power in their institution. There's a multitude of problems with the Catholic Church.
That's
But-
another episode.
Whole colonization thing,
I mean, the crazy part about all of the stuff that we're talking about, and I know this is kind of an all over the place thing tonight, but we get to the fundamental part of what it is that has made up the last, I don't know, 50 years in America, and it's the march against communism, the march against socialism. And it's never been railed against the way that it is in a long time in modern America. So you look at people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, you look at people like Donald Trump, you look at people that they've been taught from a very young age, communism bad, capitalism good.
Yeah.
And the in between. And the prevalence of this ideology is all over the place. I have a friend of mine that might be coming on the podcast that she's been getting emails from parents, right? This ideology is everywhere. And it's not localized to any one particular region. You could find it in Jersey, you could find it in New York, you could find it in Montana, you could find it in California. It's
But
everywhere.
we don't teach political ideologies, especially the left. It's like we're not allowed to even say what it is. It's like practically illegal.
Yeah, because we take basically the McCarran Act oath, where I have to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America in order to be a teacher. I have to take an oath to get certified as a teacher, to uphold the Constitution, and that's fine. Doesn't say anywhere that I can't tell the truth. That's the beauty of it. It's a broad statement. It used to be like, do you have any do you have any communistic affiliations? It used to go that deep.
When you take the oath?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It used to be a lot. Like the McCarran Act was really bad. Like I have all these images on some of my PowerPoints for class, and it's just like they were really adamant about, I'm gonna uphold I'm gonna teach God, 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 and I'm gonna teach flag, 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 and I'm gonna teach everything that's not communism. But my friend, she has a kid in her class, or several in her class, that send her emails. This is the assignment, Kyle. Ready?
Yeah.
I'd like you to summarize one article about current events from any news source. Parents are emailing her saying, we just can't trust the mainstream media. Any mainstream. Kids could pick Breitbart. Kids could pick Daily Stormer with that kind of stuff.
Fucking
Like,
Breitbart.
Daily Stormer's worse. Like you could be finding stuff about, people saying I'm the Goyim on like their, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's wild. There's wild shit.
Well, I think that's the thing with like right wing populism. It's that it's like, yeah, you should distrust mainstream media. That makes sense. But then their alternative is always like, yeah, I'm gonna turn to like fucking racism, things like that. It's
So
like
Why is that? Why? I just don't
it's
understand.
it's confirmation bias, baby.
But
and yeah, it's also like dividing like kind of like racial and class like elites against everybody else. You know, it's like segregated neighborhoods and a lot of like Jim Crow legislation. They made sure that no poor white neighborhood was next to a poor black neighborhood, and
right,
then their rhetoric was always just like those black guys are going to take your jobs, you know, things like that. It's like same thing with like anti-immigration rhetoric. It's like you have to make sure that the class like thing doesn't cross over. You don't have poor people uniting, and then you blame like foreigners. You know,
Classic.
yeah.
It's a classic move, and it's honestly it's exceedingly like successful over the course of history.
blows my mind that they're scared black guys are going to take their jobs, and then they always tell us we're lazy and useless. But whatever.
Yeah.
But that's part of the narrative.
But look at same thing with like like immigrant stereotypes. They do the same thing. It's like fucking like the hardest working people you're ever gonna meet like are fucking Mexican immigrants, and then you hear that like, oh, I'm lazy, I'm sleepy stereotype. It's like what the fuck? Who invented this? Like you are making this up.
Jesus Christ! I
Or
just
like I don't want to get too dark, but anti-Semitic fucking like conspiracy theories from the Nazis, or
Well,
just like
every
we're the
conspiracy
elites.
theory really circles back to the Jews, dude.
They run the banks, but also they're the poor vermin who are communists in our
Mhm.
streets. But also they're the elites who run the banks. It's like they can't be both.
Anyone with a brain knows this, and that's the issue: is that we've watered down American society to like no brain power. It's a soul sucker, and it's really getting on my last nerve. And at this point now, we talked about the 1776 project, which was a 45-page toilet paper roll, and
We're getting like universally ignored. It's like nobody even like noticed it was released. It's
oh
like
god, it was a dumpster fire, and it deserved to be seen as a dumpster fire. So, Pete, you teach history, and Kyle and I have been, and this is kind of a series we're going to do this month, but Black History Month is, I think it's a mixed bag of ideas. I think it ends up being the same three people. Kyle would probably generally agree with that.
yeah.
Um, so what are the reforms that actually need to take place in order to make Black History Month more of a celebration rather than an instituted curriculum?
realizing that Black history is literally just American history. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to like.
Don't say things like that.
it's like that's just the history of the United
Sounds like
States.
communist rhetoric, brother.
It's like
I mean, yeah, that's what it is. It's just finally admitting that you've been teaching it wrong, and openly admitting that you've been purposely teaching it wrong for decades because of American exceptionalism. I always have trouble saying that fucking word. Uh, um, because you don't want to teach. You always want to teach America good, America good. Even when we were wrong, look what came out of it. Martin Luther King, America good. Like, I hate it. I hate growing up that it was just, peanut guy showed up, she didn't get off the bus, and then they all had a dream month over.
damn. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope you got that recorded.
Yeah, that's Black History Month to a
Yeah.
T. And I there was a documentary that came out a while back. A guy named Daryl Davis. It's called Accidental Courtesy. And Daryl Davis did this thing, and I used to show it in class because I thought it was a decent documentary because I was like, yo, this guy's at least trying to have the conversations that are tough.
Hmm.
And then he got to the Black Lives Matter people, and they were talking to him in Baltimore. And these guys wanted nothing to do with him. And I was like, guys, you see you see some of the flaws in the rhetoric of Black Lives Matter, which in general, sometimes their rhetoric can be shitty. We can all generally agree. Sometimes the rhetoric
I
is
don't
flawed.
know. I don't even see that. It's like
Rhetorically, they make sense. Like on the message makes sense. It's just like in that film, the way they're portrayed, I hated it. They were talking about like this guy's just like, I want to sit down with white supremacists, and I'm like, at the time, and I've completely changed my ideology regarding this. Um, they were talking about intergenerational trauma, and I was like, what the fuck does that? And at the time, I didn't know what the fuck that meant, and I had to do a lot more research. And I think we can approach the problem in a bunch of different ways. I do, but I think that saying that like Black Lives Matter people are ignorant and young is a stupid thing to do, and that's what he did in that
yeah.
film, and it really bothers me to this day that like I exposed that to my kids, and I'm still pissed at myself for it. So what do we do? Like Black Lives Matter fundamentally makes sense. People don't like the organization because they call it what Marxist.
Yeah.
Everything gets it's the same shit. It used to be called cultural Bolshevism.
Yeah.
Same shit.
Yeah, they're still doing that.
It's the same thing. What I've noticed is Republicans on a community level, like living and working on with me in my area, um, they're like that. They're just as susceptible to the bullshit. And I'm only realizing this now because like I'm outside of my bubble. I'm working in
Mm.
white America more than I ever have in my entire life. And I'm realizing now that these people literally grew up in a bubble where they only learned the good parts. And like they're so susceptible to the brain rot of if it ain't America, if it's not what America stands for, it's evil. But they couldn't tell you that the guy who wrote the Star Spangled Banner was a socialist, and
Mm.
or if like uh, the how many communists have helped progress the American culture through. Like it's all based off of the best parts of everything outside of here, and like it's a false ideal that they cling to, and like even when the bubble gets burst and the everything comes spilling out onto the floor, they refuse to see it. And I don't know what the like is it because you have no traumatic cultural experience being an American that you can't see through the veil that is.
I think that they've internalized it differently. I think that the America as we know it, like in 2001, we can all generally agree that 9/11 was a fundamentally like traumatic experience.
But
We
it
can all
wasn't at
generally
their
agree to that.
but there was someone to blame outside of
Exactly,
America.
but that's what I'm
Yeah.
getting at.
Okay.
Is like we as we were told by, and the media had a lot to do with it. We were told over the course of time, like this, and this, and the narrative has always been like terrorism bad. Let's associate terrorism with those who committed 9/11, and to call anything else terrorism is silly. And last week I actually mentioned, Pete, I don't know if you read that New York Times article or the New York Times like
Mm.
video piece about the woman who's like, "Yo, stop saying to call these people terrorists, because all it's gonna do is impact the left. All it's gonna do is get
Mm.
people to go after Muslims. It's gonna get people to go after the far left. It's gonna impact people that are shooting for equity far more than it is for people that are shooting for racial segregation and racial, separatism."
That's what I'm worried about regarding like whatever new laws they come up with like that Capitol like fucking riot. It's like it's not going to target people that took part in the Capitol riot. If you do this, it's going to target who America traditionally targets, like marginalized movements, leftist movements, things like that. But anyway, yeah.
What you're saying is the right did something terrible. They'll make a law to prevent it, or penalties and punishment to prevent it from happening again, and they'll use that like they use the Patriot Act
Yep.
to enforce it upon
Yep.
people of color.
People of color. Yep. People of color.
Mhm.
And people of color, especially if it's related to like labor or anything else. It's like people of color, labor, the left, foreigners, anything that demands for like Palestinian rights, like that's where it's going to get enforced if they do these things. It's not going to target the literal people that attacked the Capitol. If this happens, it's like it's not going to target the right.
Yep.
And you can see that just with the indictments right now. Nobody's really been indicted. Nobody's really like got in trouble. Even the people that were on trial. It's like they're. And what's amazing, that one story. You saw the one black guy captured in photograph.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was not released on bail.
No.
Last time I checked, it's like, of course, that's what you did. You kept the one.
There's part of me that's like, you reap what you sowed. You didn't, because the bottom line is like, it's not up to it's up to the Congress to make the laws. It's not up to the Congress to enforce them. And when the, system that you've put in place to enforce these laws is inherently biased, then it's going to consistently and continuously do so to marginalize and minority communities. It's going to consistently do so there.
No new laws are required. You already had them. You already had those laws.
Right.
They made the choice not to enforce them for
and they were broad as fuck
people. So you made the choice not to enforce them against supporters of the current president.
Yep. That scares the shit out of me.
But they've always kind of been doing these things. It's like, I mean, fucking the Ku Klux Klan was never, and to this day, isn't on like fucking terrorism organization lists. It's like it took for like.
Because if you
they make choices, the state makes choices based on ideologies and based on biases. It's like they will decide that. Wasn't it only a few years ago that even the Southern Poverty Law Center included black nationalists as like
priorities? I have my kids do that.
Like that's like the fucking Lost Tribes of Israel and Times Square is one of your top priorities. Like those guys, like
those dudes are just nuts though. Like
Louis Farrakhan. It's like you guys haven't seen a Louis Farrakhan speech in years. I guarantee it. I love how they call him a leftist. It's like, that just like black right wing on like a level.
Like Tariq Nasheed,
don't understand. It's like you don't understand it.
Just because somebody is anti-Republican doesn't make them. It's like
doesn't. Louis Farrakhan's the last dude I want leading the black community. Like
Rachel Dolezal would also be a high flyer on that list, but. I mean, after me and Kyle had a conversation earlier, and we were on the
Clubhouse,
yeah, and we were in a room, and I didn't mean to take the room over. I felt bad, but the room was just kind of going that way, and it ended up coming out that this girl went to an HBCU. I forget which HBCU it was. Or
Morgan or something, Miller or something like that. I don't know.
It was somewhere. It was like in Washington, and Rachel Dolezal was literally her professor. And like, imagine that being, for those of you who don't know, or you're new to like politics or anything like that, and this is your introduction. First of all, I'm fucking sorry, but Rachel Dolezal is a white woman that almost passed as a black woman, and basically culturally appropriated every element of herself, from hair to skin to makeup to cooking. And she was like, this girl in the clubhouse was like, she was like having us do like soul food Sundays, and I was like, what the fuck, bro?
Yeah.
like imagine a white woman being like, let's have some collard greens. Like, that's fucked.
Everybody should eat collard greens, bro.
I agree. Collard greens are good as fuck. But like, She's like, we're gonna make them like we used to back home. Like, no, you're not.
You're
You're white. Your parents are fucking white.
Yo, I'll be honest right here,
And
right
she
now.
excelled in the ranks of like literal was it
NAACP president.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tacoma, Washington.
Tacoma,
Excelled in the ranks.
I'll be honest. I have no beef with Rachel Dolezal.
I do.
Why?
I think that you are taking away you are sullying the reputation and the stature of a major position in an organization that is fundamentally for the equity and the equality of black people in American society by passing yourself off
Okay, let's
as
put it this
somebody
way.
that is black.
They didn't hire her because she's black, though. They hired her because of her
No,
qualifications.
they hired her under the assumption that she was black. That was kind of the whole
You
thing.
don't have to be black, and only black people work at the NAACP.
Correct.
That's not true. So
You
if she
probably
was
shouldn't be the president, though.
if she was a white woman, and if she is a white woman, not if she was a white woman, she is a white woman. If she presented herself with blonde hair, blue eyes, well, yada yada, so on and so forth, the regular
fair.
Caucasus Mountain look. If she showed up to the job with the paperwork, with the experience, and then it was against another black applicant who didn't have the experience and didn't have the whatever that Rachel has. If I am a person looking to hire the person who can do the job the best, Rachel would have been the top choice.
Wasn't she president? Like,
Yeah.
Right, but she had to be voted in or whatever the case may be. She did the best job. She worked her way through the ranks.
I'm about to ask you guys if you remember this too. There's a recent scandal with a woman who was pretending to be Puerto Rican
Yes.
in New York.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Remember
I'm
that.
not racist because I'm Puerto Rican, right? That one?
Where she used to call
it
up to
Tone?
NPR being like, this is cultural appropriation. You are
Yeah.
a colonizer. She's like a Jewish lady from the village who was pretending to be Puerto Rican. I'm trying to remember her fucking name.
Yeah, I don't remember her name either.
But her name was incredible. It was like
No, I gotta
literally
look
just
this
like
up.
ask somebody who like a white person who's drunk to make up a Puerto Rican name. It's like it was absurd.
Rodriguez.
And then they were playing her radio calls online when they caught her. I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah,
No.
I remember that.
A white professor
Oh my
pretended
God,
to
no.
be Puerto Rican woman.
that
Yeah.
Jessica Krug.
the confidence is amazing. Like that's just
To hear her audio, like the things they recorded her like trying to say, like with a Spanish accent.
it's like y'all are
Almost.
gentrifiers. You all
Oh, dude, she could pass though.
She does pass. She does
Like
pass.
she's like, for those of you who don't like, I'm gonna never mind. Like if you look it up, her name's Jessica Krug, but like, she definitely passes as like, I wouldn't. She's like ethnically ambiguous, if that makes sense. I think that's the best way you could really like. There's an ambiguity to it. Like it could be anything. Oh man, that's bad. That's bad, dude.
Were you listening to it?
No, I'm watching it. Rachel Dolezal shocked she can't find a job after. Oh wait, I'm reading the New York Post. What am I doing? I might as well be reading my fucking shit-stained toilet paper.
Did you see Barry Weiss is apparently now with the New York Post?
Oh god. Isn't that the one that left the New York Times and wrote like a shitty article about how there's no diversity of thought and it's just basically cultural Marxism there?
Yeah, yeah.
And oh,
She's like the cancel culture champion. But clearly her whole mission was to do this. Like
the
she
bottom
wanted,
line
she
of
wanted
cancel
to write a
culture.
book about like, hey, my life amongst the liberal elite in New York Times. It's like you're not
She's
even
doing
the
this for
most
a book.
right wing at the New York Times. Like you fired yourself.
Isn't Brooks the no? Is Brooks the guy? Larry Brooks? Is he still there?
David Brooks. David Brooks
that's his name.
and fucking the oh my god.
And they always it's just op-eds. It's never they write anything of substance.
Yeah.
So the other thing, oh damn it, I just had it in my head.
We're so too
Oh,
drunk for a podcast.
I'm way too drunk for this.
Bro, you went off.
But that was good. So the whole cancel. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. So Kyle, this isn't really necessarily talking about politics, but in a way it is, obviously. So let's talk about Disney Plus for a second. Let's talk about Gina Carano. I think that's considering we're on the. So let me start by saying this. So if you're not familiar, Gina Carano has posted some. First of all, she's a former MMA fighter turned actor. I remember her back in the day. Like we're talking. I remember the very first time I saw her on TV, and this was in like mid 2000s, and it was on a show called True Life. Like I'm a kickboxer, and she was dating this dude named Kid something, and he was like a big Muay Thai or like kickbox or some shit like that. And they broke up, and she went into fighting. She got into MMA, and she was supposed to fight Cyborg, and that never happened, or it did. I don't remember. And then she was in the Expendables.
Yeah,
right?
she's in a couple action movies.
Yeah.
And
The
now
Deadpool movie, I think. Yeah.
she gets onto the ultimate show,
Right.
fit for what she's doing, like fit for who she is like an actress. It's right up her alley. She's posted some
Easy check.
problematic shit.
Like easy payoff. You don't even act for the most part. Like she barely speaks.
All I want to say is this. Imagine getting fired by Disney, a company who was once owned and is named for a massive anti-Semite.
Yeah, but nobody knows that.
I like she would. It's not even that like they didn't cancel her after the turf shit. They didn't get rid of her after other things. It was like she had like 4 warnings.
Yeah, well, that's why she got canned, dude. There's only so much we can cover up or so much we can ignore. Like, we get it. Your views align with the creator of the company, and we want to give you support. Like, go to all the hate rallies you want. Just don't do it on social media. And the goofy bitch could not do that. So what are you supposed to do? Be as racist as you want. Just do it in the shadows.
It wasn't even racism, dude. It was just straight up anti-Semitism.
Anti-Semitism.
I don't know what you want to call that.
It's a vanilla company that's putting out like vanilla products for families. It's literally just putting out like just streaming like mainstream for broad audience stuff. And then she's on Twitter saying, I feel like my character aligns with Anne Frank or whatever. It's like I feel like
she was like felt like she was being rounded up like the Nazis did the Jews or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Right,
yeah.
Making sure.
And then even before that, but they don't meant that there was no reference to the stuff before that.
No.
That was what was said in the story. But even her older posts are pretty bad. In fact, I kind of want to share one.
Yeah. Sure. Open it up, Kyle. Open it up.
Yeah, she's. They don't even acknowledge the part where she's like, was clearly embracing like kind of like elder protocols kind of stuff. And it's like, but that wasn't even part of it. Literally, it's just like, don't post crazy shit when you work for Disney. That's it.
That's all you had to do. All you do, shut the fuck up, and you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of at the point because like there's this also, I don't know if you guys follow TikTok at all. Follow TikTok just to one, it's hilarious. Children of the next generation behind us they're fucking hysterical. And then also, so there's one large content creator. Her name is Jayus. Jayyus.
Yeah, I was reading about this.
She is part of the LGBT. Super positive poster, all types of things. Got exposed for calling someone the hard R. You all know what the hard R is. If you don't know, Google it and then delete your search history. She denied it, said somebody photoshopped it. Came out later that she, now she has to admit to it because it wasn't photoshopped or anything like that. It's just, where do we go with these people? Is my question now. It's like we've been doing this for literally a decade. You've canceled Kevin Hart. You've canceled white actors, Hispanic actors. You canceled black actors and whoever else, whatever they do, comedians, whoever. Obviously, it's not really too racially biased. It's mostly white people that affects this because they have the privilege of using these terms without feeling like they were doing anything wrong or things of that nature. So it obviously affects you guys way more than it affects us. Too bad. It's only one thing. It's like, fuck you. I really don't care how you feel about that.
No, you're
so it's just like me at this point. It's just like, why do we deplatform them? Do we try to re-educate them or get them to just do a song and dance to show other people that it's wrong? Like, where do we go with these fuckers from here? Like, I'm tired of I don't want your apology. That's the first thing. Don't tell me you're sorry, because you're not. Like, you're not sorry. I don't care for it.
I love the forced apology. It's right. Like, who cares?
The Michael Richards.
Fuck off. Yeah. Like, that Michael Richards. Yeah, I mean, you'll say it 37 times. 37 times you call somebody, we got it, bro. You don't like him. Like, just be God damn. That's just like,
also I feel like there's a lot of play here, but who's actually ends up canceled? It's like not all of them do. Like, you could call them out and they just come back later.
Right.
Sounds like the market deciding, brother.
Yeah.
I believe that's
where capitalism comes in. It's literally just like, who really gets canceled?
It shows me that white people don't give a fuck, because honestly, at the end of the day, the market here is mostly white. You want to be successful, white people gotta like you, and that's just it's not a race thing. That's just if you want to be successful in Egypt, Egyptian people gotta like you. It's just the way it works. So I think
Black Eyed Peas are one of the most top-selling hip-hop acts in America.
I have never once played a Black Eyed Peas song in my car.
You gotta get that boom boom pow, brother.
Right. You need that white approval.
Never once in my life said, "Hey, play that new Fergie." Get the fuck out of here.
What was the fucking Office bit about that? It's like, he's like, it's hip hop for people that don't like hip hop. It's rock. Right. Don't like rock, but it's pop for the people that don't like pop.
It's so bad. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just like the majority of this, I won't say majority, there's a section of this country that is just willfully forgetful because they give it 10 months and then they're back on the scene and they're getting paid to create content again. And it's just like the people of this country stick with nothing unless your last name is Kaepernick. You can't do anything.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like, why do we keep allowing these people to come back? Should we continue to cancel them and crush their things, or do we allow them to say, hey, I went and I said I'm sorry? Because Nick Cannon, of course, he said his anti-Semitic things.
That shit was bad.
Yeah, but now he's being allowed to come back to.
He was never taken off the air, really. Like he lost one job out of like the 9 he has.
I feel like nothing's paid attention to the power dynamic. It's like the most powerful people are never truly canceled ever.
I don't know. They did a pretty good job with Moonfest.
I watched liberals celebrate George W. Bush for 4 years.
That's fair.
Because he was not fully supportive of Trump.
Right.
It's like George W. Bush. Guys,
we've lowered the bar.
Excuse me?
Way down.
Me?
To be fair, though, George Bush.
I'm sorry, George W. killed far more people than Trump ever did.
I would say Dick Cheney was more important and instrumental in that, and you know Dick that too.
Cheney
but
was a fucking psychopath on
Dick Cheney McCain celebrating
was it under
bag on John McCain?
Which was an underwatched movie with Christian Bale.
What is?
By the way, the Dick Cheney movie with Christian Bale.
That movie was good advice.
Yeah, super underutilized and underwatched.
He also perfectly. He's also a problematic person all in and of himself.
Yeah, he's an asshole. He's a piece of shit. But he's
most method actors are
right. He's open about his shittery. If you are a piece of shit and you're open about being an asshole, I got no beef with you, sir. Continue on with your day. It's the motherfuckers who drive past me and honk their horn and call me different types of names as they drive past me. No, say it to my face.
What about people that make like Jeep commercials and then it comes out that they got a DW? One, two, three, ha, yeah.
Did you hear about the details of that though?
Yeah, he was taking fucking shots of tequila with his fans.
One shot.
He took one shot and got a DWI.
It was literally a cop was at the event and called it in. And I was like, you
It's
guys
Bruce
probably
Springsteen,
could have
too.
arrested him on any. It's weird.
He could have found pot in
It's
his
still
liver.
funny though. Like that whole story is really funny. And I
It
feel
was
like it was
funny.
definitely pushed by like a right wing cop. There's no way it wasn't. Like you just know that like it's just the whole thing is hysterical. Everything about cancel culture to me is kind of funny, especially with Gina Carano. Like you look at the Disney Plus people and they're like, we're gonna boycott Disney to show that we don't like cancel culture. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like,
No, you won't.
that's what cancel culture is though.
You're using cancel culture to
You're
support.
you're like and to be honest with you,
They wanted to change the Constitution so that you couldn't put like two dudes on a wedding cake.
yep.
It's like you're canceling is like that's it. It's like culture war shit between like
That's all it
mainstream
is.
liberals and conservatives.
It's all about the
Like, you're
moral
not
high ground.
attacking any fundamental problems with the system. You're just like middle class like Republicans and Democrats just like battling it out. Where it's just like, yeah, I'm not against war. I just wish they'd put rainbow flags on like fucking like drones. And then it's
Yeah.
like, I'm not I'm pro freedom and I want low taxes for successful people, but please tax the hell out of anybody that puts a movie about lesbians on Amazon.
How could they?
It's like,
That Uncle Frank movie was really good, by the way. If anybody watched it, I liked it a lot. It's the
Judas
dude
and
who
the
plays
Black
it.
Messiah was really good too.
There was one other thing I really wanted to bring up, and I keep slipping my mind. But when you talk about like all of these people put together, like when you talk about Disney, it's an inescapable fact of your life. There is nothing that Disney doesn't in some way like all of these people are like, we're gonna cancel Disney Plus. Okay. So are you gonna stop watching ESPN? Are you gonna stop watching Jeopardy? Are you gonna stop watching, are you gonna stop going to
College
Disney World when you're
football.
college football? Like
yeah,
Disney has it is one of the biggest conglomerates on earth.
Yeah.
It is inescapable. They own the Simpsons, they own Marvel, they own I mean, at this point, you
they
name it.
control like a third of U.S. media. It's like you guys have criticisms against Disney. It sounds like you have problems with capitalism. Do you?
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
funny
no
part is
problem.
like these guys are all against like that shit too. They're like, we believe in a free market and and now they're against they'll go after people for monopolies like fucking Google. Like I get going after big tech. I actually generally
Yeah.
agree with it, but like I'm more against it for the fact that like if they institute net neutrality, like or they go against net neutrality, like that's bad.
Yeah.
Like that's a regulation that does need to be put in place. And then there's Republicans that are like, no, 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 no. Let's get rid of that. We should do it the way we want. And then it's the same like anything that they want. It's like, no, no, no. We think business should be left alone. So it's only when it fits their little narrative.
I have a theory that eventually they're going to eat themselves alive. Like, it's going to come to a point where they're just arguing with each other because none of them actually know what conservatism is anymore.
If the left didn't do it when Trump was president, then the right won't when Biden's president. That's the way I look at it.
I just feel like conservatism is going to fall apart. Like it's going because there's now
It should.
there's Trump conservatives. There's
That's not a conservative though.
but I mean the people who support.
That's something that's not what a conservative is.
I know,
I don't
but
know if I feel like it is
they
conservatism.
these people were that way before he got there. No
Yeah.
one was paying them attention.
Yeah, I feel like it's still conservatism. It's
Yes.
like yeah.
They are who they were before Trump took office, bro. And all the people who support him and continue to support him, they're gonna fall. People were literally just posting about him getting acquitted. No one cared that he didn't get impeached.
I didn't give a shit.
Like no one cares. Like no one knew. Everyone knew he wasn't getting in trouble for it. Like it wasn't. It was for show. We know that the liberals and everybody else did it to save face,
They're
to
do
show.
nothings.
Like the bunch of do nothings. This is not earning them votes. He's not going to be president in 2024. Like it's. But
See about
anyway,
Candace Owens.
it's.
See that?
Candace Owens.
You see, she's like, I might run for president. I'm like, please do it. Please run for president, Candace.
I'm not. How do I say this?
Do it.
There's
Kyle,
ever a
you can-
black
I know-
president you guys wanted to assassinate. We're not going to give you too much shit about it being Candace Owens. I'm just going to put it out there.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I'm just saying.
As a professional educator, I do not adhere to or agree
You let
with
Trump make
anything
it
Kyle just
through.
said.
If you allow Kamala to make it through, I won't talk about what I think of her or anything. I'm just saying
She's a grifter.
we get
That's all she
2
is.
out of 3. If Candace Owens becomes president and we get 2 out of 3, you take out Candace Owens. That's fair shoot percentage. I'm taking it. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. You can have Candace.
Okay, Meatloaf.
I feel like it's a complete toss up who the Republicans can throw up next election. All I know is that they'll either win or come really close to winning. I just really don't know who it's going to be, though.
Trump came
I really
close.
don't know.
He came close. It was nervous. I was nervous for a minute.
It was
Like-
probably it was close this election.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna come close again. He's gonna come close again.
Who
If
gets
he-
put up? Like who gets if
There's
Trump
n-
gets nominated, it's
There's nobody.
this is also assuming that Biden's not a one-term and out. Like this is assuming Biden stays alive.
Biden has to stay alive and he has to do everything right if he wants another
You
term.
get a weekend at Bernie situation going on.
Well, what do you mean by right? It's like I feel like he's just going to be like a standard like centrist.
Exactly.
I completely
Sta-
agree. I think
sta-
it's gonna be.
He has.
I don't know, man.
He has perfect ability right now to bail out everybody, big business and corporations and banks and stuff right now because of coronavirus, and he can blame it all on Trump. Bail out all your corporate buddies, blame it on Trump. They're not going to give you too much. We're not going to give you too much shit about it because it has to be done, or it's the perfect cover story, right?
They
But
just
once
did a
that's
complete show trial
right,
to distract from not putting out a coronavirus check.
right. Once this is all over, 3 years in, that final year, he's going to have to be the left show pony. He's going to have to have some things in place that aren't going to make the people who voted for him instead of Trump, and when they voted for Trump before, he's going to have to do some things, which he's not going to do because the left is full of fucking spineless weasels.
Well,
But
the liberal left, yes.
yes,
The Democrat. Yeah.
he's not going to do what he has to do, and it's a very easy fucking toss-up. It's the same thing Trump had to do. If Trump just shut his fucking mouth and didn't do too much, he'd be president still. I was fully on board with betting that Trump would be president again.
Whoever
I was too,
rushed
until
a
Corona.
second aid check after the first one would have won.
Exactly.
Whoever
All Trump had to do was put some money out.
Yeah.
It could have been fucking $600, $800, could have been anything. You would have bought votes, bro.
whoever promised that, but then again, Biden, which is crazy, by the way, that Georgia runoff,
Yeah.
where he promises, like he basically told Georgia voters, "I'll give you $2,000 if you vote for the Democrats,"
Right.
and then failed
Yeah.
to do that.
But
And I don't even think the 1,400 is going to come to fruition entirely.
no.
At least
But
not in
it's
the way that
like,
we think it's going
You
to.
promised you promised 2000 and then you put on a show trial. You
Right.
put on a fake impeachment trial where I guarantee you all of you knew the outcome.
Right.
Trump had a bunch of ambulance chaser lawyers, and yeah, he surrounds himself by like frauds at
Mhm.
all times. But those lawyers during the impeachment trial were clearly.
They were in over their heads.
I feel like they knew that they were. It was a show. It's like it was just
That's how little.
the whole thing was fake. It's like you promised 2000, and now say that to Georgia voters. That fucking gerrymandered ass fucking like state that will like black people's votes barely count. You have to like show up 200% to vote out the Republicans there. The work there was put in by people who want progressives,
Yep.
and they supported Joe Biden, who was not a progressive. He was like everybody's fifth choice in the last primary.
Yeah, even over fucking Mayo Pete.
Oh God, don't get me started. I don't want to. I'm not going to talk about Pete Buttigieg. I can go on for a while about him. I don't want to start. That guy was raised in a hatchery in the CIA fucking facility. The same DNA they dropped into like fucking.
Dan, whatever the fuck, Crenshaw is the same shit. It's the same shit.
Oh yeah, it is. Crenshaw.
They're all just fucking
Republican
pearl clutchers.
DOC.
They're
Which is
professional pearl
hilarious.
clutchers. Like Crenshaw is a professional pearl clutcher. He brings nothing to the table except for his ambition. That's the problem.
I barely have any followers on Twitter. Every time I get banned is because of what I say to Dan Crenshaw.
You get banned for that?
Every time I get thrown off of there is because of what I'm saying to that one-eyed fuck.
Yeah.
I want to get banned off Twitter. I gotta start pissing off some old white people.
Easiest way to do it, and my cousin, one of my cousins, who is Pete knows, but it's not the cousin. It's my older cousin. His name is he's got a bunch of kids, so I'm not gonna say his name. But he got banned off of Twitter like the instant that Ted Cruz said something on the 6th, and he's like, I hope you fucking get like colon cancer. And I was just like, yo. He said that to a sitting senator of the United. I love this country sometimes. The amount of like wild shit. Because Ted Cruz, just bottom line, there's some wild people. Ted Cruz is one of the most unlikable human beings on the planet.
One of the most abhorrent human beings that I think I've seen in my entire life.
Like, what do these people bring? Like, I don't even understand. Like, the only reason they won is they ran in a red state. That's it.
The only way for a guy like that to succeed is a rigged system, obviously. It's like no normal, working person would ever really support him. It's evidence of a rigged and, terrible system. It's like
I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
And then did you see Andrea Mitchell's thing that happened a couple nights ago, where she tried to call out Ted Cruz, former MSNBC, actually current, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still there.
He said something like, this impeachment trial is all sound and fury, just like Shakespeare. And she goes, that's not Shakespeare, that's Faulkner. That's so stupid. It's so superficial. It shouldn't matter, but it's like another example of like what's supposed to be liberal media failing to counteract. It's like, like that shouldn't even matter. It's stupid literary bullshit, but it's like you got outsmarted by Ted Cruz in a tweet. That shouldn't be possible.
Yeah, like when
how did you fuck that up
lives to dunk on him?
Yeah.
That's the only reason AOC is going to keep her job is because she lives to dunk on Ted Cruz. That's it.
She deserves one.
She's good one though. She's good with her district. She is very good with her district, and
we deserve one. We deserve one person on this side who's just dunking on people and just making them feel like the idiots that they are. We need a mouthpiece. If she wants to be the loudest in the room, while being able to back
Give
it
me
up.
Cory Bush with that kind of mouth and that kind of rhetoric. Give me that.
I like Ilhan Omar.
Me too.
She's good.
What? Oh, you mean radical, liberal, communist, socialist Ilhan Omar?
Watching this government flip on its head and become everything I never wanted it to be is going to be the single.
It never was
satisfying
something
thing.
for you though, Kyle.
No, I
That's
can't
the
wait.
whole thing. It wasn't
I
built for you.
Can't wait till this country's handing out reparations.
Dude,
There's
Dude,
no
your
more white privilege.
reparations is that, like, honestly, I think that reparations are the fact that, like, I don't even think it has to be monetary at this point. I really don't.
Ask me the first thing about my reparations.
I don't know.
White privilege. I'm buying some because it's gonna be great. I'm gonna curse out police officers. I'm gonna tell people that the Republican Party is not patriotic, and you know what's gonna happen? I'm not gonna be harmed for it because by the time we get it, and by the time it's instituted and it's put onto the Constitution, and people no longer have to vote every couple of years for Black people and minorities to keep their right to vote in this fucking country, and we're recognized as actual equals, I'm gonna have some white privilege. Fuck you people. Not you guys, but you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking
I
about.
hope it completely guts the military budget. It's like send like 500 billion to reparations. I can't.
I don't even know if that's ever gonna happen. It's gonna be like one of those situations. I think it's gonna,
yeah.
It'll be one of those scenarios where it's like, I know, Kyle. We'll wrap up after this.
Yeah.
I've heard one of my favorite conversations I've ever had was somebody was like, "Yo, what if reparations are the fact that Black people are just inherently cooler than white people?" That's just been like the cultural standard, and I'm just like,
I thought that was already settled.
Yeah, I was like, if that's what reparations were,
we didn't get shit. I mean, it's cool to walk into a party and be like, "Hey, everybody wants to talk to
that guy."
Black guy."
Yo,
Yeah, like,
hey,
what's
up?
But fuck that. I want to be like Charlie Sheen partying off the backs of people in their tax money, and I want to be able to stumble drunk to an ATM and take out money and continue to make bad decisions with America's tears, and that's what I fucking want.
All right. So guys, listen, I'm sure Pete will be coming back. We'll have some other guests in the near future. But for now, we are going to be signing off because most of us are drunk and or tired. So I hope that you all have attempted to learn something in the midst of our rambling bullshit. But nonetheless, this has been another episode of Lowering the Bar. Have a good night.
Good night.
All right, ladies.